everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's a beautiful afternoon here in the Philippines. It's the 20th of June and we're so excited for this week's episode. Stories coming up is not gonna tell you guys, we're just gonna get right into it. Again, if you like these videos, give a thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and you can share this content with family and friends and those you believe that can benefit from these stories. I'm your host Davin Bennett, and I'm excited to share with you all the things that happened this week. So let's get into it. My week started out Sunday. Beautiful day for flying. The weather was perfect. It's like no cloud was in the sky that morning. Very small cloud, and along my route just blue skies for miles. And it was such a blessing. I just took some photos just to appreciate nature and prayerfully get the mission going for the week. This is a photo of my Sunday. Basically, it was just it's the longest trip I usually do. It's a very long trip, and so this was a photo I took coming back. Basically, my first mission was to transport 8 doctors. So they are serving on this island. If I may get a little zoom in here, there's a little island right in that area that I zoomed in. Okay, and on this little island, doctors are just isolated, and so they rotate. So you'll have 4 working for maybe a month or 2, and then you have new workers, new doctors coming in. So I was to transport 4 going in and 4 coming out for vacation. When I depart base to that airstrip airport, it usually takes me around 2 hours going there, an hour and a half to drop them. After I drop the patient off, I mean the doctors off, I usually drop them at this airport right here. It's a little place called Tugigarao Romeo Papa Uniform Tango, or RPUT. And after dropping them off, those doctors that is, I'm gonna have to go over to Palanan to pick up a patient, and I'll tell you about that patient after that patient. Drop the patient off here where they're going, and then head back to base. On this particular day, on Sunday, it was a long day. I flew like almost 5 hours time. So what was that mission? Well, along with doctors, I needed to transport cargo or food. So I had in the airplane food, which is relief goods for Pastor Melky, one of my contacts. He every now and then he gets some money and he's able to buy this food, and I will transport it little by little as often as flight comes in. It was a lot of work dealing with the doctors, loading the airplane, and I had to leave the food at one airport temporarily, pick up the 4 doctors. So I had to unload the cargo and then put the seats back to load the doctors, and then when I get back I have to remove the seat and put the cargo in, which is the food. So Pastor Esserjun here, one of my former students during medical missionary training, I texted him the night before and I asked him, I said, I'm gonna definitely need your help tomorrow. So he came and he was able to help me to load and unload. It's over 300 pounds of food that I was transporting. So praise the Lord for his help. And while I was away temporarily, I had even extra fuel. He watched everything until I got back to reload and head to my destination. It was 4 ladies, 4 nice doctors. They took some pictures, video, and as we passed this mountain, I gave them a little tour as they travel. They're about to go in a very stressful environment, so why not enjoy nature with me as we fly along? So they're taking a picture of that volcano. I did some research. The last time that volcano erupted was 96 years ago. 96 years ago, that volcano erupted. When we got out of the airplane, we took a little photo and I helped them to unload their luggage and just bid them on their way. And many of them shared a thank you. Basically, they shared a little thank you note on their social media account, Instagram and Facebook, to let me know they're very grateful for what they have done. Well, I mean, for the flight and their experience. Second batch of doctors was like three millennials and a senior guy, so we flew along, and it was a real blessing again to have another set of doctors on board. And you have to go over my channel. There's a beautiful video of that landing and the takeoff as well, if you ever want to see that. When we got to the airport, they didn't have any issues at all with their documents, their frontliners, so they were able to get in easily. After transporting those doctors, I loaded up again. This is the food, and this is Pastor Melky, very happy that he has received his relief goods. Another big supply coming in. In addition to food, I also transported for him a bottle of fuel. Down where he's at is a small little isolated area. Fuel is very expensive. So every now and then when he has money, he will get it to us. We will buy this fuel where we are. It's way cheaper. And when I have a flight to go get a patient or food supplies for his area, I will transport this fuel for him as well. He uses the fuel in his motorcycle to roam around and visit his members and individuals in the community. So that's a blessing to be able to transport fuel for him. The patient I picked up in his area is actually a pregnant lady. Her water broke, and the water basically ran out, and the baby is still inside the womb, so she needed to do an emergency C-section. So I was able to get her to the area where the hospital. Oftentimes these ambulance can delay, and a lot of times the patient is very critical. Sometimes the patient needs oxygen, and the ambulance take forever to show up. So whenever I am like 20 minutes out, 10 minutes out, I usually call the tower and ask them, can you confirm with me that there's an ambulance on spot, on site, waiting to pick up the patient. So whenever I see an ambulance waiting and I get there, I know the patient will be in good hands. But there are times when the ambulance takes 30 minutes up to an hour and the patient is just sitting there waiting for the ambulance. This lady and her son took the long journey from a far place here in this part of the Philippines. They journey overnight, took them hours and hours of driving. They finally got to our air base, and they spent the night with our missionaries. And so the next day I was able to transport them home, where they're just gonna go through a temporary quarantine, and then later they can be with their family and friends due to the COVID lockdown. On my way back, I transported this senior lady. She's also heading home after the pandemic. And so, it's just a blessing that we don't just transport sick, but we also transport individuals who are stranded, just trying to get home. We're not a chartered airline, so if these passengers would like to travel, we don't just fly them. If we have a patient and we have space on our way to transport the patient or with the patient, we will accommodate those who are stranded trying to get home. Most of the stranded people right now are students. They've been away from home studying. School and colleges especially is locked down. They're running out of food and money. So we're able to transport them, as I said earlier. We're not a chartered airlines, so we transport them when there's a patient transfer involved and we have space, whether going or coming back with the patient. So it's a blessing to help the patient on that trip. Basically, it's a young man. I think he fell. I think this young man fell from a tree, or I forgot the exact issue with him. But again, critical on IV, and we transported him successfully. This week, I had to turn down one passenger and a patient as well, because I have to think about my limits. The airplane, it's nice and it's fast, but it has limits. And so every now and then people, they're trying to get home. They're in areas where things are very cheap, and they just try to bring as much as they can. But we have to weigh everything, and sometimes we have to tell them it's either you or the luggage, but we can't bring both. So I made note, and as I said, I had to turn down one patient and also a passenger trying to get home. I like transporting kids. You know, they have this dynamics to them. This little one in particular, I remember when I was helping to unload the airplane, I saw they had little bags with their little toys, and one of them, this one right here, I don't know her name, but she had a little toy. It's a stethoscope, or Jamaicans call it a trumpet. You know, the thing doctors and nurses use to check your heart rate. Yeah, there was one that it fell from the bag in the airplane, so I ran and I said, "Is this yours? You know what? Do you want to be a doctor or a nurse when you grow up?" And the mother said she wants to be a doctor. So it was just inspiring to see these kids. After dropping off those ice stranded passengers trying to get home, my next patient is very interesting. He has mental issues, so there's a mental illness involved. He needs to go to the hospital for checkup and medication, and because of the safety issue involved, a police was asked to escort him on the flight, and I told them for safety reasons, just in case he becomes erratic, it's a small plane, he could maybe grab me or something. I asked them to politely put a handcuff on his hand. He didn't like it at first, but we were able to calm him down, and so he accepted the handcuff. And we use that as a semi-restraint to make sure that if in case he gets ill and his mind begin to interfere with him, it should not compromise the safety of the trip. This young man here, 18 years old, he started the vomiting. This week was all about patient throwing up. It was not my kind of flight. It was not my landings that caused him to get sick. But this week, most of my flight was late morning. It gets warm really quick in this area. I'm flying mainly over land. So you have this thermal, you have these buildups, you have this warmth dealing with, and it really makes most of my flight this week was very bumpy. Personally, I don't eat much when I have to fly in heavy turbulence because I know I will throw up. But these passengers and patients, they don't know that, so they fill their stomachs. They get on the airplane, and he started the vomiting. Now, here's a challenge with vomit. You have to, as a pilot, you have to tune that out. It's very distracting. They're puking up in front of you. You have to make sure you don't look at it, and at the same time, you're monitoring them to see if anything else is happening with them. And so, one of the worst time to throw up is actually when you're getting ready to land. You're focusing, and so I have to tune all of that out to be able to continue to land the airplane. So he started it, and the vomiting continued. My next patient was basically she lost her baby, heavy bleeding, and as a result, she's so weak she had to lie down. So we put her to lie down in the airplane. Her husband was with her, and after I landed, this odor hit me like a ton of bricks. So I heard some little noise, but I'm about to land, so I have to focus. I touched down, I did a U-turn, I'm getting ready to taxi to park the airplane and unload to get her in the ambulance. And I smelled something, so I looked down. Because she was lying down, she kind of vomited to the side. Her hair was like this, and you could just see splatter of vomit in her face. I said, wow. My heart went out to her. This is the nurse, that midwife actually, that came with the ambulance. The husband is small. There was no one there to take her out of the ambulance, so I had to jump in. I picked up this lady with vomit on her face, in her hair, and holding her in my arms. And it was then that it dawned on me that being a missionary pilot, it's dirty work, but I enjoy doing it because you get that close to helping people. When I picked her up and I put her on the stretcher, she said, Cap, sorry for vomiting in the plane. I said, no, don't worry about it. I can clean that up. And she said, okay, Cap, thank you very much. So after I got her in the ambulance, they drove off. I had to get soap and water and a brush, and I had another flight waiting. I need to refuel, I need to clean up the airplane. So I got down, got dirty, and I cleaned things up. put some fresh supply of fuel in the airplane, and I was off again with more food supplies for Pastor Melke. Gave him the last set of food that he bought to help replenish those who are struggling financially due to this COVID lockdown. So it's dirty work, it's very challenging, but praise the Lord, we're able to make people smile. This is Pastor Melke. Every time I land in his area, he would help me to load, unload, and he offers that prayer for us as we fly. He's basically the connecting link between the aviation ministry and those in the community. And he can tell you this ministry effort with the aviation ministry, it really strengthens his pastoral ministry, because the people don't just see him once a week in church. They see him every flight in his community. He's there, he's on site to effectually welcome the people home, greet them, pray with them, encourage them, visit them, and to follow up and let us know how they're doing and what's happening. So it's a blessing to be able to work with a pastor as our contact. After we were finished, he prayed for us. This was my next batch of patients. Is 2 patients here and a watcher. The second patient is this little boy right here. He's having some eye problems. He needs to get his eyes checked up. And I remember they were selecting their luggage, and he said this box belongs to him. And I looked inside. It's a box filled with cassava. I don't know what he's planning to do with it, whether to sell it to have a little money or bring it to his family as their little pasalubong, as they call it, or little gifts. I don't know. But I had to help him because he could not manage that box. So I had to help him with that and transported them. These are 2 stranded family relatives trying to get home, and so their pickup vehicle took a while to come get them, so we had to give them a chair, put them in a nice school outside the home. I said, if anything you're having challenges with transportation, I have a Nissan Patrol for ministry, just let me know and I will take you to wherever your destination lies. This gentleman here, I would say he's a Seventh-day Adventist. I would say this man is a man of faith. He came early this week trying to get home. Flight got canceled because of weather. He left his bag here at the hangar for a couple of days just by faith, hoping that he could get home. Finally, Friday morning this week, I was able to transport him home successfully, and I know he's rejoicing to be with his family. Pastor Milky again, very excited to get his last shipment here for his food supplies. This week I had challenges with weight. I had to leave passenger. This young man was one of those passengers. I had to tell him, sorry, I'm too heavy, I cannot bring you. But that happened Thursday morning. Friday morning another flight came up, and I was able to finish the mission by taking him home safely so he can join his family. This is Pastor Carlo, one of my contact in a little place called Makunakon. He's again, pastoral ministry with the aviation ministry. He's there to pray, to encourage, and not just that. He has a little thing where the resident of this area, they try to give me gifts and stuff, and I told them, I like coconut water, because many times when I'm flying, I don't have the desire to eat much, and if I eat, sometimes I have the tendency to throw up. It's hot, it's humid, sometimes I'm turbulent, so I get this motion sickness that makes me want to throw up. But at the same time, I need to eat because my blood sugar will drop. It will impair my whole focus, and I can make mistakes. So to be safe as a pilot, I found the perfect cure: coconut water. It's like nature's dextrose. And what I do with it is, when I land, once a flight is scheduled, the community members will bring the coconut to the airport. When I land, the first thing they greet me, morning Cap, your coconut water is ready. There are times they don't have a bolo or a machete to open the coconut. So Pastor Carlo, he makes it a personal point of duty to ensure that he has his bolo ready. So when the coconut comes, he opens it. He said, Cap, your bolo is ready. I mean, your coconut is ready. Have a drink. And that's been helping me to be replenished. So I help the people, and the people help me as well. This is the patient that I could not transport because the patient that lost her baby, and these three wanted to go as well. I was going to be too heavy. I could not hold everyone, so I had to reserve them for another day. It's a sad story here because basically the lady is pregnant. That's her son, and she's gonna lose the baby. It's just a matter of time. So we're bringing her out in advance so that when the bleeding and all the craziness starts, she's already under good care to help to get that baby out of her system without her losing her life as well. Sad one again from this is from Pastor Esther June, my contact. He sent me this message. It's not in English. It's in the language of the people here in the Philippines, and the translation basically says, Davin, one of the patients that you transported from Batanes has died. I got the message when my phone picked up signal while flying, and I just replied to him. I said, flying now, text you later. Further follow up, I realized it's one of my patient, I think from episode 1, that had a multiple kidney failures. I think I flew him in for emergency dialysis. He has died. We haven't gotten any requests to transport the body back to the island for the funeral, so we're just waiting to see if they're gonna need our help or they will just bury him on that island where he died. We don't know, but every now and then we do get these news where people we transport, they didn't make it. Sometimes we get good news that people that we transported did make it. I don't know if you remember the 4 days old baby from I think episode 2. That baby is alive. That baby made it. Pregnant lady from episode 1 and 2, they gave birth. The baby is doing well. One lady though from episode I think 1, her baby did not make it. The baby actually died. So every now and then we get these mixed news. Some people make it, some don't, and even after they die, if you remember from episode 2, we also help to bring their bodies back to their relatives so that they can have a funeral for them. Right after I landed, this was the weather that came down on the hangar. It just poured in rain. So it was a blessing again, like episode 1, where God gave a small window. I was able to get all the missions done, and when I come home, the rain just poured. And I see it as a showers of blessing, where God says He approves the kind of work that we're doing. I'm not just a missionary pilot. I try to learn everything about the aircraft. And this week, under the supervision of my director, he's a mechanic, and he wants me to learn as much mechanic as I can. So he was teaching me how to change the brakes on the airplane. So that was nice that I could help out in learning the dynamics of changing the brakes on the airplane. So we have a fresh set of brakes now, and that's really good. This week I finally hit 300 hours flight time. So 300 hours flight time. It's a blessing to always come home and able to look in your logbook and see where God has been sustaining these flights day after day after day. That trip was my longest basically, and I want to give you an idea where I go to these places. So as you can see, Batanes is this area up north. That's where Batanes is, that area up north. And that particular day, number 3, where you see number 3, that's Tugigarao. That's where I basically picked up the 4 doctors, took them to Batanes up top, picked up 4 from Batanes up north, and brought them to Tugigarao. And after I was finished, I flew down to number 5, which is Palanan. So many of you have been asking, which I'm gonna do a complete video on this to tell you, if we did not come into these areas with an airplane, I'm sure most of you are wondering, what would be the option of these people? You can't afford to miss that question and answer section. Just keep monitoring the channel, and we're going to be doing a thorough video explaining the location of these places, the challenges that people face, and how the aviation ministry has come to the rescue, especially during the COVID time when all other airlines were shut down. We were in full operation. As a matter of fact, we got more busy during the COVID lockdown because we are a humanitarian non-profit, and we were there before. When everyone else was making money off travelers, we were solely out there flying for nothing at all, helping people out in ministry. We thank you for your support, and we have some good news. We are fundraising. I'm fundraising to replace one of these magnetos, and another $400 came in, so it's a $1695 purchase. We have half of that already. We praise the Lord. We have $800 towards the magnetos. This is the one we're gonna replace it with. It's for $1695. The reason why we're replacing it is it's low maintenance. Then it's gonna help to increase the timing on the engine, and I'm gonna burn a little less fuel, so I'm gonna be more economical with the fuel that God continues to provide. So we're excited, and we know God can provide the rest that we need. We encourage you to partner with us, to pray with us, and let's see God work miracles. I encourage you to go over, for those whose hearts are touched, you're impressed with what we're doing. You see the work, you see the stories, you see the lives being impacted and the lives being changed. We encourage you to partner with us. Partner with us. Where you go to my website, By His Stripes Ministries 1844.com. You click on the support page, and this will show you exactly where your donation goes. You can put a note in the memo if you want it to go to the aircraft needs, or you want it to go to our personal needs. Again, we don't receive a salary as missionary pilot. We're solely working by faith, but we have seen God provide for us over and over and over, and it's a huge blessing to see how God provides. I am not worried in any shape or form about God's provision. And so as I close, instead of just closing with a simple, oh, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, I actually would love to share a Bible verse with you. If you have your Bibles with you, I encourage you to turn with me to Matthew chapter 25, verse 40. So I'm just turning my Bible here to Matthew 25, verse 40. Jesus said something that I think is so important, and it connects so well with ministry. So he was outlining those who are going to be saved. He says it's two groups will be in the last days, or when he comes, the goats and the sheep. Then he tells us the difference between the two. In verse 36, verse 35, it says, let's start at verse 34. So Matthew 25:34, it says, Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom of my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Why? I was hungered, and he gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and he took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer, those who are saved. They're going to ask the question, Lord, when saw we thee hungered and fed thee? When did we see you thirsty and gave you to drink? Verse 38, when saw thee a stranger and took you in, naked and clothed you? Or when saw we you sick or in prison and came unto you? Jesus will reply that day. He said in verse 40, the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me. So, beloved friends, if you want to know where Jesus is, he's not just in a church. We see Jesus every week. I see Jesus personally every week. Jesus is right there in the airplane vomiting because he has lost his baby, sick. I see Jesus with mental issues with a handcuff for safety. I see Jesus as a teenage boy vomiting and short final. I see Jesus in these little kids exiled from home trying to get home. These mothers, these fathers. I see Jesus every day. And you know what? I could not see Jesus without your help. In as much as we do it unto the least of these, you have done it unto me. Your donation, your prayers, your encouragement, your support helps us to show our love and appreciation to Jesus through these people. On behalf of everyone here at Philippines Adventist Medical Aviation Services, I thank you, and I can't say thank you enough from the top of my heart, from the bottom of my heart. I'm very grateful for your support, for your prayers. We encourage you to keep partnering with us, keep supporting us, keep encouraging. We thank you for the emails that you send each week. Continue to send emails, continue to send your donation, and I look forward to episode 3. God bless. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon. Bye bye.